Hello my beautiful dolls, today I'm teaching you how to make this beautiful big paper flower. It's very easy to do and I'm sure you have the materials in your house. And if not, you can make them. So what you need is some wire, or if not a stick, a big stick. The bigger the stick, the bigger the flower. Some glue, the one that you probably use in school works just fine. Get some colored paper and some scissors. If you don't have the colored paper, just color it with the crayons or watercolors, whatever you have around the house. Now, to start making the petals, just take about 5 sheets of your favorite color. I wanted to show you a way of making your own color, but first you have to cut out the paper. So what you pretty much need is 5 circles or ovals that are big, then 4 circles or ovals that are a bit smaller, then 3 or 4 that are even smaller, and then the smallest ones. So there's a second round of papers of circles. Then I'm going to make a third round that are going to be smaller than the second round, and a fourth round of circles. As you can see, the circle doesn't have to be perfect, or the oval doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to cut it out perfectly. As you probably know, I'm not one of those girls to be too careful when I blend or when I cut. So I'm sure if I can do it, you can do it too. So take out the second biggest circles and the smallest bunch of circles that you have, and what you have to do with these sheets, you have to cut them through halfway, or well, 2/3 of the sheet. You have to cut them in. Okay, this will be used to bend the sheets to make them stay curved. You will see what I mean right now. So once I've cut the 2/3 of the sheet, you can see I can pretty much take the two extremes of the circle and put them together. And there my baby wants to have some attention. So what I do is I cut 2/3, because if I cut less, they will be too bended. And what I want to do is bend them or put one side on top of the other to create this cone, these obtuse cones. Then if you don't have colored paper, I will pretty much show you here how to make your own custom colored circles or petals. You can use whatever color you like. You can use more than 2 colors. Just be free to try. What you have to do is try to make them an ombre style, so they have to be more intense on the edge and less intense in the center. And then for the ones that are cut through, you can either choose to color the side that's cut or the side that is not cut. Don't worry if the petals are not colored the same way, if they're not the same intensity of color. You don't have to worry about that, because in imperfection lies the beauty in this case. Once you have all your circles or ovals colored, just let them dry. And meanwhile, take your wire and pretty much first extend it or straighten it, and then make some big loops as you see here. And then just put them all together. As you can see, I have about 4 loops. Then take one of those 4 loops and just bend it in two, and that's what the skeleton of the leaves will be. As you can see, I'm bending them over just to stay still. And then the rest of loops, the 3 ones, I'm just putting them together, bending them to create the stem of the flower. And then I will leave these extreme parts to be the base for the main part of the flower, for the petals, because they actually need to rest on something. If not, they're just gonna fall apart. Once I have the skeleton or the stem ready, I'm just going to cut out some green paper. If you don't have it, just use the same step I've used for coloring the petals. And to cover up the skeleton of the flower, we're going to take about 4 green sheets, bend them in 2, and create a semicircle, and then just cut them. Once you have cut them, you have 2 leaves ready to be put on the skeleton. And my other baby wants some attention too. So here I have the 4 leaves. Now I'm just going to take some glue and stick them to the wire, to the stem. Now to stick them, I'm just going to cover these sheets with glue. And what I pretty much want to do is I want to extend the glue all over the 2 sheets. As you can see here, it's not extended yet, so I'm just going to press around a bit more. I'm just going to play until both sheets have equal amount of glue on them. And once I have them, I separate them. I'll take the skeleton or the wire, and I'm just going to put 1 sheet under the leaf, the skeleton of the leaf, and 1 sheet on top of them. And then I'm just gluing them together. Make sure you do press it and you do hold it for about 20 seconds until the glue gets sticky, and then just let them dry. As you see here, once they're dry, they're just gonna stay there, and then you can bend them or fold them a bit more, just to do whatever you feel it looks prettier. Then I'm also going to cover the rest of the stem with green paper. I'm taking small pieces and just covering them in. First I'm putting some glue and then just cover the rest of the skeleton. And then let that dry, and let's start with the pretty part of this whole flower, which is setting up the petals. Now, before we set up the petals, before we put them all together, take the sheets that you have cut 2/3 in and glue them together so that you pretty much bend them and you create some cones. Once you have done that with all of them, take the other sheets, the ones that are not cut, and you want to bend the edges a bit. Now, to do this, just take a plain pencil or a stick, whatever you have round around the house, and just roll the paper onto them to bend them a little bit. For this step, the sheets have to be completely dry, if not they might break. Once you have had all of them stuck together and bended, it's time to set the flower. So what you have to do is take a piece of paper, it doesn't matter the color because it's going to be colored, and start by setting 1 petal. Now you can either put these petals with the bended part inwards or downwards or upwards. I find that it looks prettier if some petals look downwards and some look upwards, and just put them together. If you have 5, make sure you leave enough space to stick all of them together. Once you have done these ones, just get to the next bunch of papers, which are the big ones that have been cut, and what you have to do is just stick them all together randomly. Make sure you do make them seem equally distanced between them, and play around with them. If you actually like them to be more together, put them closer to each other. If you want them to be more loose, just put them farther apart from each other. Then the next bunch of flowers, the petals that are bended, just put them all with the bended side upwards. And once you have stuck those ones too, just stick in the last bunch of petals that you have And once you have done that, you can either leave the flower as it is, or you can stick in the middle some wool, or you can stick some glitter, some rhinestones, or if not, just some other piece of paper that's a different color. The flower is pretty much done. Now I'm just going to stick some glitter, but if you want to use something else, or if you want to just splatter some yellow paint, you're free to do so. Then let it dry. Once the flower has dried, once the glue has dried, take a big piece of green paper, fold it in four, as I do so, and cut the form of a diamond or of a rhombus. You can either do this or you can just cut out a plain circle. Then unfold it, and as you've done with some of the petals, just cut this one, but only halfway through. Then you just take your flower, once it has dried, bend it over or flip it over, add some glue to it, and get your skeleton or your stem of the flower and just stick it to the bottom part of the flower. Once you have settled the stem, just take the piece of green paper that you have just cut, add some glue to it, and stick it between the wires. Stick it just to connect the wires with the rest of the flower. This will just create a base where the flower can rest, and it will make it be more adherent, or more it will be better stuck. And once you have done this, just let it dry a bit more, and once it's totally dry, you pretty much have your flower done. As you can see, it looks really pretty. It does take some time, but it's totally worth it, and I'm sure you pretty much have all these materials in your house. If you don't have the wire, just use some sticks, or just use the plain flowers without any stem, and just color them, or you can stick them on walls. You can give them to your mom for Mother's Day, or since Valentine is coming, you can use them to pretty much give them to somebody you care about. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, appreciate this video, and share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!